because usually it was on Friday nights.
Yeah.
And I'd be working at a restaurant. So only once in a blue moon would I even hit that place up. But I'm glad it's back. But yeah, after that set, the other one, and just sitting through so many open mic sets sober. No, I'm not. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Or I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, you've been doing it, if I remember, 10 years?
10 and a half, yeah. Yeah, was it June of 2011, something like that?
What got you into all of this?
Well, I was a bass player for years, like metal bands, whatever, wannabe metal bands. And so and this was up in the north suburbs where I'm from. And then so by the time I was in like 26, 27, this band I'd been in for a long time broke up. The drummer moved to Los Angeles and started, jamming around with people. And so he hits me up. He's like, hey, so here's the deal. I'm making a good bit of money right now, and I'm trying to put together this band. And to get a little in the weeds, this guy was a very odd drummer. Like, he did a lot of polyrhythms, a lot of stuff where it's hard to sort of find the downbeat. And it was difficult for me, too. But I played with him for years, and so I figured it out. And so he just basically called me. He's like, yeah, I don't feel like training a new bass player. So how about I fly you out here and see what's up? And like jam with this guy. We got certain connections, whatever. Fast forward, I moved there, and fast forward another 8 months, and I'm out of music. So I quit music because that whole shit hit the rocks, and I don't like.
Hit the rocks in what way?
Oh, just creatively. Just turns out when you're dealing with musicians, it's a lot of people are very good at an instrument and terrible at communicating.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is ironic, really.
It is.
Given what you're supposed to be doing with music.
Anytime I see a band that lasts at all, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers or
well, they just managed to communicate by being incredibly simplistic. That helps.
It's just it's like I was in a band for a little bit, and it takes so much effort to deal.
Right. And I'm really we'll put it this way, going into stand up, people are like, so you're not gonna start another band? I'm like, no. If I'm ever in another band, I'm gonna be the singer, songwriter, bass player, and general grand poobah of the band, and we're gonna suck because I suck at writing songs. Oh, yeah. So I don't have to deal. If I don't get a dick joke written, it's not because the guitar player's fiddling with his knobs for 6 months trying to find his tone.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just so happened when I was living in North Hollywood at the time, and right down the street from what was then the Ha Ha Cafe. Now it's like the Ha Ha Comedy Club or whatever, like right down Lancashire. I went there and started paying $5 to go up for 5 minutes.
They made you pay?
Paid open mics, baby. LA all the way. It was like 6-8 months, but maybe a year before I found out that was like goofy, because I finally came back to Chicago and to visit my folks and shit. And I went up. I think the first mic I went to might have been Go Flock Yourself at Bird's Nest. I can't remember, but I remember asking somebody, like, hey, how much is it to go up? And they all looked at me like, who hurt you?
Yeah. That gets me. That's a perfect transition into the things I wanted to ask you for so long. Your reputation. Okay, so
okay.
I gotta give you.
It's gonna be a 2-part episode.
I'll start. I'll
try to keep it brief as possible.
No, I'm so excited. I'm sure you heard the clip where I said I see myself in you.
Yeah, you're gonna find out why you don't, because you're agreeable.
Oh, okay. So I'll give you some context from where I come from and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I come from Riverside, California, and it is not LA. Why
does every place in California call themselves the city of? Like, I've been to Riverside. This shit ain't a city.
It's
the city of Riverside.
It's like
is that the IE or not?
Yeah,
yeah. I think I did a show out there back in the day where I bombed somewhere with Mike Muratori and BJ Corshane or something.
It's the desert. It's the desert in the suburbs.
Hell yeah.
And there was no scene at the time, and so trying to get to LA was a bitch, and going to San Diego, there wasn't enough. And so I was like, well, I'll just make my own mic. But I didn't really do. It was basically like an open micer creating a scene.
Yeah.
And
slow going.
Dude, so this is about to be all over the place. My perception of comics is so negative that coming out here, I'm learning through doing the podcast. I'm not giving people a chance when I meet them. This is all over the place.
To be fair, you'll get back to that spot, but you gotta be out in the city and enjoy it for about a year and a half, and then you'll be right back. Just like, man, fuck all these pitches. I hate them.
What I love about Chicago comedy is there's a respect. There's a respect for the craft that I see.
More so, I guess. Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I remember it was maybe a month into running this mic, and I put out this whiteboard and a marker, and I was like, okay, guys, just sign up. And I go leave upstairs to bark, and maybe 5-10 minutes later, every comic, and this is like 20 people, are coming up individually screaming at me. They're all like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? You're ruining everything. You suck or whatever. Everyone.
This is in California?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone. And I found out that when I told them to sign up, they were all, there was literally almost a fist fight over it. Like they were all fighting.
What were they mad about? That you were doing a mic?
That I wasn't there babysitting and like making sure that everyone was in line and no one erased someone else. People were erasing people's names.
Oh.
And
they're making that a you problem?
Yeah, dude. Years of grinding and working and trying to make a scene happen, and that is the way I was treated for years.
I thought, because that's on the IE, so people are on meth, and in my experience, people on meth are like yappy, but they get very organized when they need to, and they could probably do a show up, like sign up how you show up, but these tweakers were just.
Well, it's colored. My experience there, I think, has colored a lot of how I perceive the world. And so coming out here, I'm having to like rewire the way I deal with people.
Yeah, you'll find different things to not like about people here.
Yeah, I believe it.
We can maintain some order on a sign up list, and that's about it. That's the rest of it is just a bunch of backbiting and with a few funny people peppered in there.
I got it. So. Where did this fuck Bob Keane? Where did this come from?
Okay. Oh God. Where does it start? In case for any listeners not familiar with me, I can be a bit prickly at times. I just quit doing sober February 4 days in yesterday because I was at open mic. So that's what the kind of person you're dealing with here. So I'd go up. I'd do it. Like it's not even. I'm trying to remember what exactly. Okay, I don't know the chronology here, but okay, the fuck Bob Keane chant was actually used to be just people chanting Bob Keane, and when somebody is bombing out of control, when the wheels have completely come off and a comic has lost the audience about five years ago, people started chanting Bob Keane, and it's because there used to be this roast battle show, which is actually coming back, I think next week, over at North Bar called Beef. Beef was a roast battle show. They involved certain like games with it too. It was like 3 rounds. Like, okay, you gotta for round 2, you have to do all your roasts as roses are red, violets are blue poems or whatever. So it had an improv tinge, but like just enough where it wasn't distasteful. Mm-hmm. And so I did that a long time. But I went up against Brandon Kiefer one day. I think it was a Friday night, Saturday night. And I had a fucked up week. I was in a week-long meltdown, just scene politics nonsense. This would have been what, 2016?
Oh, this is when Trump got in?
Yeah. This was the when everything went to hell in this fucking scene. It was everybody used to hang out, like show up to the same party. Like,
you guys had parties back then?
Oh yeah, at the McLean house. Ironically enough, it was 2 comics that lived there, Sean White and Mikey Manker. And the irony of Mikey Manker having at one point been a uniter of the entire scene, because when Trump started coming up, he got real goose steppy. Manker did.
Really?
Yeah, like you see the people's like, dude, I used to know this guy, but now he's just a fucking MAGA Gavin McInnes shithead. Like, what the fuck? Like, red pilled as fuck.
Yeah.
That's him. And so, poor little fella. Guy's a fucking asshole. But Anyway, yeah.
I'm starting to see the fuck Bob Keem thing now.
Oh, yeah. It's
Okay.
coming. So, right. But the entire scene, people who went to Cole's, people who went to Patsy's, people, like everybody, South Side Comics, North Side, used to all like come through these fucking parties that were fucking bananas. I got real fucked up at those. But they were a really good time. And then everything fractured. And so it was right around that time.
It fractured because of politics? Like literal politics?
Well, okay. Politics were definitely part of the context, but there was also, mind you, there was a streak of sort of misogyny and stuff in the scene that was more so than there is now, without a doubt. So there was definitely problems sort of in and around the scene, including there were a number of incidents of women getting drugged at open mics.
By other comics?
We never found out who. At least one of those, it would almost had to have been because it was at an open mic where literally the only people there were open micers. It was at an open micer's apartment. It was called All F at Night, whole thing. And so, anyway, so there's a lot of mistrust. And as it is, you've seen my act. I sort of have to assume a level of trust from the audience for the shit I talk about. It's like, yeah, you understand I don't actually think this. Like, but it's like not funny if I spell it out at the beginning of the set. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so just because sometimes it's just really fun to say awful things, in a very silly sense, in no way. Like if anybody is ever convinced of becoming like a homophobe or whatever from shit I say, they should have already offed themselves. Do not. Fuck, it gets really annoying. Last night I did a bit where the opening line of it is, so I'm trying to be a better ally to my gay friends, and I had to stop the joke for 30 seconds because people kept laughing. I'm like, you fucking pricks, do you actually think I think other shit? Because I'm about to say something bigoted. Just for fun.
They're just ahead of you in the bigoted...
Well, but they're like, they think actually being an ally to a gay person is like... laughable in and of itself. It's just like, pricks, I was in the gay pride parade senior year of high school. Like, fuck off. And so, of course, the back end of it is by trying to be a bigger ally by, bigger ally by saying snarky shit about bisexuals. That's because I've hung out with enough gay people. Y'all say some snarky shit about bisexuals.
Yes. I learned that from oh, God damn it. Doesn't matter. Anyway,
whatever.
so okay.
So in that context, I bomb at this roast battle show against Brandon Kiefer. Now, on my best day, if I was real put together, Kiefer probably still would have steamrolled me because that guy's a savage.
Very, very
yeah,
funny.
He's fucking hilarious. And I don't know if you've seen him do a roast battle. He's an assassin.
Yeah.
So, but on my best day, it would have been like beef of the century. It would have been amazing. And then the whole scene would come out for these shows, and I just looked out and I hated the whole fucking scene at that point. As people,
how long were you in it by that point?
In comedy?
Yeah, in this scene.
In this scene, probably 3-4 years at that, maybe 3 years at that point.
Okay, so
because I was about 5.5. Oh yeah, I had relationships.
Okay,
I did, and just everything was real stressful. So basically, I kind of melted down in the midst of this entire thing. I started like getting booze or whatever, and I went all wall-eyed. Because usually at that point, I like look out at the crowd. I'm like, I'm going to get one of you because that would be fun. But I looked out at the crowd. I'm like, I don't want to make any of you laugh. Suck my dick. And so without that, I just kind of floundered. And after that was a rough... Like all of your peers jeering you. This is like I might as well have been like in my 5th grade class with no pants on in a dream. You know that dream?
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like just
walking
surreal. Up. Oh, it was it was definitely but to my credit, I took my lump, I got off stage, and I plopped right back down at the bar and ordered a beer. Okay? As I fumed and stewed. To the point where people were like giving me like walking by me. It used to be a saying I learned from Jay Washington. After a guy bombed, he comes up, sort of tries to bump knuckles or something. He's like, whoa, stay away from me. Bombing bombing's contagious. Yeah. And so I felt contagious, and So after that, when somebody would bomb, like they kept bringing it up at subsequent beats, like, yeah, now don't bomb like Bob Keane did. Like it became part of like the lore. And the thing is, they booked me again like 6 months later, not even like 4 months later, and I go up against somebody, and it's a great back and forth. It was great, but I knew from the jump I was gonna lose because like the whole running joke of the thing was how bad I did that. 3.5 years later. I did that show so many more times. I moved to Austin, came back here. So like 3 years later, I go up and I finally win one again. It took me like 3.5 years to get the stink of that off of me at that show.
It's fascinating because on one end you are a very sweet person. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Well, also there was another thing in there
okay,
that actually
right.
might be okay. So that's the fuck Bob Keane chant, but the general antipathy towards me.
Yeah.
So in the context of all that, I would be on Facebook being not in opinionated lockstep with everybody else that fucking went to Kohl's and then gentrified all the brown people out of fucking Logan Square, but then felt real good about themselves because they go to hipster bars and dance to bachata. So before that, there was this fella, James Camp, who I guess came out. He's some kind of creep. I don't know. I don't really know him that well. But he used to run a blog, but a website called comedyofchicago.com. And they would have like listings of mics, promoting shows, and like articles. And you could like write an article. And this was during the age where we started calling new comics swoops. Because our thing was we would hit, like back in the day, you could hit like 5-6 mics at a night, especially if you have a car, like on a Monday or a Wednesday or something, if you worked it. And so, but that means like you get to a mic, sign up and get like a good spot and coordinate. Mm-hmm. Well, right around the time.
This is 2000.
This is whenever it was Hannibal Buress like outed Bill Cosby.
Like probably 2018, 19.
I think it might have been 15, 16.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, okay. It was a while ago. Because I feel like Cosby got busted before Trump became president, and I'm shocked didn't pardon him. Anyway, what ends up happening is there's this influx of like young, largely like college student, grad student age dudes that like, during winter break, like right around New Year's, it'd be like, my New Year's resolution, my frat buddies think I'm pretty funny, so I'm going to, I got thoughts. And so they would show up they would have nothing to do all day. And they're like, well, fuck it. I'll just go to that bar. It's because it was always, sign up in the order you show up at like all the mics back then. And so they would start showing up like an hour and a half early. And so the comics who like have been doing it longer are working on stuff and need to do a couple different spots. It's like gummed up the whole works. And then you'd have, 10, 11 comics in a row at a mic that just suck dog balls because they've been doing it for 3 weeks. And so we started calling them swoops. And I think it was a reference to them swooping in and taking all the good spots or whatever. So I end up writing a piece that wound up on.
I'm having anxiety.
Yeah. It's it didn't help that. Okay, basically the meat of it was just I did talk a bit about swoops. I think I said welcome to Swooptember or Swooptober, whatever month it was that we put it out, and it was basically like, yeah, this is what, some of us fucking need this, and it's supposed to be hard. If you get bumped to the back, fucking, there's a reason, take class, etc. Of course, that was like, 4 or 5 years ago. I'm 10.5 years in now. And if I knew a 5-year in comic writing some shit like that, I'd be like, hey, man, get fucked. Yeah. So, like, I get part of it. But anyway, by the end of it, I just suggested, like, okay, have a bunch of reserve spots and bump wantonly. You're an open mic host. Like, you're probably not being paid. If you are being paid, it's not much. This is your time, and frankly, you want to cultivate a good show.
That's what you said in the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the time I got to the back end, I'd already, said enough stuff to make the short attention span young folks already tune out. Kind of my thing. So I get fucking, but anyway, it gets shared, and it said, fucking James Camp trying to get clicks, so I get it, but it says, "Are new comics ruining the scene?" Like, I didn't say that. Son of a bitch.
Did those comics stay around, or did they all fall off?
A lot of them fell off after a while, but yeah, I was getting, I don't know, I could go into the whole like, because I stand by what I fucking said, because like I get raked over the fucking coals, and just because I apparently I've got this thing, I forgot that I think I got actually diagnosed with it as a kid, oppositional defiant disorder, which I always just thought was a bullshit non-thing. But apparently it's like in the DSM or something.
Like literally
an urge to run counter. You told me to do that? Well, now I'm not going to do it. Fuck you.
Pathological contrarian almost.
A bit of that, yes. Yes, I definitely have a flavor or two of that.
Can you describe like what it is? What is the feeling of purposefully...
It's a thrill. Straight up. Dude, when I think I'm being asked to do something stupid... or something that like, come on.
Yeah.
I will make it a point to just look them in the eye. Okay, so last night.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
After that fucking set I did, I was just annoyed with the whole night and just like going out for a cigarette. Completely stone fucking sober at like 12:30 at night at Lincoln Lodge at 39 years old. So, you know, the world's kind of crashing in on you at that point. And Adam Ciroc comes out. Mm-hmm. You know Adam?
I'm going to look him up while you say this.
Don't. But he's a very nice fella.
Okay.
But can get a bit much. I'll just go out and bum the cigarette. And we're not, you know, we know each other. But he comes up to me. He's like, can you bleep his name? I don't feel like
I don't know how to.
Shit.
I don't know how to do
it doesn't
that.
matter.
Are you okay.
I really don't care. Of all the enemies I have in comedy, he's not one that really tips the scales. Sorry, Adam. You're a nice fella. But he just goes, I was like, hey, King, can I get a cigarette? Yes. Hey, King, can I get a cigarette? I'm just like, no. And I just keep smoking. Usually somebody asks, I'll be like, I'm running low. But yeah, at that point, yeah, the ODD came out. I was like, no. Just kept walking.
It's fascinating to me.
Well, people like that are missing. Dude, people used to be... Sam Kinison shot a hole in a fucking in the sign at the Comedy Store. What happened to that?
You seem like you'd be a big Doug Stanhope.
Yep. Hell yeah, I'm a Doug Stanhope fan. He's phenomenal.
So it's almost like, other than the pathological element, there's a philosophy to this.
Oh, well, it's become so pathological, I've built a philosophy around it, I think.
All right.
Although I'm pretty sure plenty of other people have come to the similar conclusion. They're all in jail, but...
Do you feel like there's anybody else in the scene? Because I was talking to Ariel about this. There's almost this punk rock group within comedy.
A little bit, yeah.
And I think I've seen some other guys who have a similar vibe to that. Like Kiefer's one of them. Mm-hmm. Kiefer's one of those guys where it feels like
the social climbing aspect is not even considered.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like you, Kiefer. I'm trying to think of anybody else.
I mean, Junior Stopka is sort of the OG of that out here. He's not in the scene. So some very punchline deficient people drummed him out of the scene. Not that they ever did much for him anyway, and frankly, he's doing fine. So he actually is open for years for Stanhope, and has done. He gigs when he wants to gig.
Do you think this mentality has? This is a stupid question, but do you think this mentality has gotten in the way of the professional element of things? Like do you think you would be further in comedy if
I wasn't so disagreeable? Without a doubt. And I'm not even talking about like interpersonally. It's not like I'm some kind of like Bob's got fucking 45 minutes of straight up killer shit, but they don't fucking like his haircut or something. But even in the things I choose to talk about or that I find funny in my that I would put in my act are also disagreeable.
Yeah.
And I think we can all agree. And but like I don't know. There's going to be, I don't know if there's a place for that right now, but if I keep doing it, there will become a place for it, and by then I'll be very good at it.
Okay, so there is a thought process to the madness.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think led to the madness? I used to be a pretty happy kid when I didn't think.
Did you? What was your upbringing like? Up in the north suburbs, we weren't exactly new money, more new credit. Okay.
And but
the housing market didn't do you guys well in 2008.
Oh, dude, that it hit. The timing was real bad on that one. But that's shit, I was so old then. I was like 24, living with my folks. Whoops. Had to be homeless for 6 months to figure that out.
Good God.
I
out
learned,
here?
Oh yeah, during the winter.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty. Well, okay. Here's the thing. It wasn't that rough because I was white while doing it. I'm serious with you. I'm not fucking with you.
Okay.
If you are white and homeless in Chicago in like 04,
Yeah.
something like that, 04, 05. Yeah, if you were a white homeless guy, you could stay fat. like understand in the middle of the winter here.
Mm-hmm.
All those grocery stores and shit, there's Walgreens with like sushi and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they always throw it out, but you know that the sell by date and the actually bad for you date are very different.
Yes.
And they're throwing them in packages, sealed packages, in a dumpster when it's like 10 degrees out. That's a cooler. Okay? I ate more sushi when I was fucking homeless than now when I actually have some money.
It's
And when you and I would like sleep. Well, a lot of times I would be able to hustle a sofa to stay on. Like I'd be in the suburbs and down in the city. Like I'd be in the suburbs. I knew enough people where I'd come and hang out, maybe bar back for a few bucks because I knew my deal. I was carrying around my fucking duffel bag and shit, and I had a case or two of either ringworm or jock itch. I forget. Something unpleasant on the side of my balls, and don't get homeless, kids. Learn. So. But yeah, I would end up like taking the metro back down to the city if I couldn't find a place to stay. And when I would get on, I would just act like I was asleep. And back then they wouldn't even really bother because I wouldn't have money for a ticket. Mm-hmm. And so then I would get down to Union Station, get on the red line or the blue line, fucking sleep and just go end to end. Never got fucked with, never got robbed, never got stabbed. And I'm 100% certain it's not because of my people skills. I'm pretty sure it's just because they're like, yo, who's the white guy that doesn't look like he's on meth doing here? He's probably real crazy. I'm not going to fuck with him.
Yeah.
And either that or, hey, he gets stabbed and the cops start showing up.
Yeah.
So I was 100% riding my privilege. I've never had more privilege than when I was homeless.
It's funny. Okay, so it seems like it's almost like a game of chicken. This mentality that you have.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way to put it.
Like you're
it's
just
like,
trying
who's
to
gonna blink first, me or death, or me or disaster?
I think what I see in myself in you is that I do the same. Like if I'm in a certain situation, I will get on stage and purposefully make the audience uncomfortable and upset.
Yeah.
But I don't have this is what I like about the way you go about it is I don't have the playful nature. Like when I'm doing it, I'm genuinely.
You have a very like solid. You have a lot more gravitas to you.
Yeah, I'm genuinely angry,
Yeah.
and it's like it always happens, and I'm really working on this. It always happens in front of two specific types of white audiences. It's conservative white audience. I love nothing more.
Oh, to torture them.
Yes, yeah. and to make points that they know that they can't be refuted.
Well, see, that's the problem. You're up there trying to be right.
Yes.
Why are you on stage trying to be correct?
Because
there's a place for that. It's called politics. You want to be right about shit? Good. Become an alderman.
I can give you an actual answer to this, and I'm in a process right now.
Okay.
Like I'm coming out here. I'm in a transition mode in my life.
Sure.
So where I came from, racism, bad.
Sure.
And a lot of gaslighting. And so because...
I hope you don't think you got away from racism by coming to Chicago.
No, but at least at bare minimum, people leave me alone out here.
Yeah, but that leads to more nefarious things.
I'm listening.
Just take a look around at how cosmopolitan this city really is. Because we got people of every shade, but you wouldn't call it a melting pot.
No,
it's more of a crudité. You know,
yes.
You got your broccoli over here, and then one piece of cauliflower over here, a tomato way down on the south side. You know how the tomatoes get. You know, like it's the worst kind of, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not one to fucking talk. I come out on the top of fucking all of it for some reason, but yeah, it's not a melded city.
I would take this over where I'm from any day.
Give it 3 years.
Okay. So for some context, things would happen and people would tell me that it wasn't happening.
Oh, well, yeah.
And
Well, that's City Hall here.
right. Well, and it happened so much that I started to feel paranoid and crazy. And so now, and then post Trump and the George Floyd protest, like seeing it so mask off.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Here's how you get, just in my observation, it's just the level of gaslighting that Chicagoans get is to the level where we have a black LGBTQ mayor who is perhaps more than the last few really putting in some work to maintain the racial hierarchy of this city.
What's interesting?
She's done, it's like, and so you're meant to think, oh, this is progress. Look at this. It's and it's window dressing, because then she pulls up all the bridges, orders everybody to disperse, and then removes their ability to disperse.
Right.
So then they can just like round them up. And I don't care what color you are. I don't fuck with fascism.
Yes.
So like, and for people to still somehow wear this as some kind of, so no, that's what I'm talking about. Is our level that's gaslighting as fuck.
I agree. I to get to the point of this though, that's how I used to think. I used to try to make a point and yada yada, and now it's not even. It's just anger.
Yeah.
And the other version of white people that I always get frustrated with is the woke liberal, like the two sides of the same.
Oh, nobody
coin
has fun in front of a woke liberal audience, especially white liberal.
It's frustrating.
It's obnoxious.
And so
they feel good about themselves for disapproving of your jokes.
It's really frustrating.
Laughter is ableist.
So I'm trying to get to this point where I just want to have fun. Like, I don't want to feel the way I feel when I'm in front of these audiences.
Right.
And so I like that even though you're doing the thing that I'm trying to work on not doing, it's coming from a place of enjoying yourself. It seems like.
It's meant to be fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like, okay, bad example, but me and my friends, like, we were shithead teenagers in like the late 90s. We definitely went out a few times driving and just whacking mailboxes with bats and golf clubs and shit. We used to be like, hey, you want to go fucking shit up tonight? Yeah, let's go fucking shit up. And we would just go fucking shit up. And it, like, just that kind of naughty release that, it was a dick move. It probably cost some people a few $100. Okay, we were shithead kids. It was either that or jerking off in public. Like, I had to get the jizz out one way or the other. And so, and we didn't do it to any other people. We were very nice to women.
That's good.
I mean, disrespectful, but not physically.
Yeah.
We were just 90s asshole suburbanite bro kids.
Yeah.
And I was like a fat one too, so I was especially harmless.
I get an American Pie vibe.
Yeah. But,
minus the rape.
Yeah, well, yeah, more like it's American, what's another baked good? American...
Muffin?
Subway roll? I don't know. Stick our dick in that, I guess. But yeah, it's so I forget the point I was getting at here, but just the idea of like saying like the wrong thing in a context where there aren't, especially like, real serious human consequences, like, I don't know, a comedy show saying something absurd like, do you think I agreed with any premises Patrice O'Neill ever fucking said?
Yeah.
Nobody. They're like, dude, that's pretty fucked up to say. And then he would say something like, all right, it follows a line of logic. It's hilarious. Still not right, but I can laugh at this.
It's still funny.
Because obviously this is ridiculous.
Yes.
And so we're... Now you have to treat the audience like a child. Like we're being treated like children. Because I don't know where it got screwed up. I'm sure there's people with lots of degrees that have probably studied this better than me. But at some point during our generation and subsequent generations' upbringing, we lost the plot to an extent where now we don't have our own thoughts that we watch anything with. You know what I mean? Where like if somebody says something to us, we don't. And we entertained the thought like receptively just to entertain it. people used to be able to do that without fearing that they would be tricked into falling into that incorrect mentality that you're entertaining. Adults used to be able to do that. Used to be allowed to do that. You could hear all sorts of like shit. When I was in high school, I would hear all sorts of wild shit, and I'd be like, oh, that's what this person thinks. I know I disagree with them. Yep, that's what I thought, and moving on. Like now, and I remember being very annoyed in like middle school when like parents were the whole uproar about Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, you're old.
Oh yeah, I'm old.
God damn.
When Beavis and Butthead, like when they stopped letting Beavis go fire, 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 because like one dipshit kid in Ohio somewhere like burned down his house. Like, sorry, that's a funny gag, and you probably shouldn't have made kids. I don't know what you failed at as a parent.
Yeah.
But 99.9% of the kids used to be like, oh yeah, fire, fire, but not burn shit. And now, I don't know if it's like still the same number of kids, same low number of kids doing it, and just because of social media or something, we hear about it every time. But it's fucking obnoxious, and it gets really tiring. Like, I'm a fucking leftist. I'm a lefty. Like, I'm damn near Trotsky when you come down to it. But when did the left start treating each other like children? I feel like in the 90s, it was very much like the opposite, where like the right was always trying to be like, oh, dirty language and family values and don't have those thoughts out. And then everybody on the left is like, fucking free speech, man.
Yeah.
Polyamory and all that. And then at some point, it switched. Like when the Republicans and Democrats switched like the Southern strategy in like 65, that's the only thing I can think of that's a parallel to when the left started treating people like children.
Do you think it's some sort of pendulum that will eventually switch back, or how? What do you
I mean,
think?
I'm not going to live long enough to see it, so I'd like it to be fixed now. Oh shit!
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. You have such a quick wit about you.
Except when I'm on stage.
It's interesting. Like right now, it feels like your brain moves a mile a minute.
It starts and stops.
It almost feels like your mouth is talking and your brain is like, well, let's see. Let me navigate whatever my mouth is saying.
Oh yeah, it's kind of you kind of surf on it.
What is like?
What, does everybody just think before they speak? Is that what normal people do?
I think so. I'm pretty sure people that
sounds fucking boring.
People that take their medication usually
sounds fucking boring. Imagine knowing everything that's about to come out of your fucking face before you say it. Oh, it's like ruining the surprise.
You're making so much more sense to me now. Like you as a person makes so much more sense to me now. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. No. Look.
Okay. Okay.
So, I don't know how familiar anybody listening or you are with. Well, no, you do the whole Buddhism bit, right?
I do.
Yeah, I don't, but I
assume.
But I've borrowed a couple like passing thoughts I've caught from it. I remember in junior high, when I was at Libertyville High School, at one point, some maybe Model UN or somebody had actual Tibetan monks come in and spend a week in like one of the music rehearsal rooms or something, making this giant mandala, the sand paintings on the floor. That like, and the whole point was they took days and they were praying, they were doing all sorts of shit. This beautiful, colorful, looked like what I would later find out was a DMT trip, basically. And so when they made it, the whole point was you have to go in there, and I'm so glad we didn't have camera phones at the time, because they're like, the whole point of this is that no pictures are to be taken. You are here to look at it, take it in, and as they're doing it, you could like come in at all hours of the school day and like sort of watch them do it. Stay quiet, let them do their thing, and then at the end, they had a few hours where everybody could come down and look at the completed thing, and then they blow it away, having never taken a picture of it. The whole point of it being all of this is just dust and it's not meant to last. And so I kind of have approached a lot of sort of what I do with that, where it's like none of this is supposed to matter. And if it does matter to you, make it not matter to you. it makes a lot more sense. Like, and which is an idea completely sort of taken, like borrowed by Bill Hicks had the whole it's all a ride bit, same thing. And so, shit, where
can I respond to what you've said so far? Though?
Sure.
I think this is why I like you, is that you ride this line. You go back and forth between.
Now I remember.
Please.
So the fact that none of this really matters, and so if that's the case, and especially when you're in the position of a comedian or just somebody who isn't fucking Elon Musk or something, where you can affect financial markets with a meme.
Yeah.
If that's the world we're living in, yeah, none of this matters. Do you understand? So if none of this, if none of it really has a lot of consequences within reason, why not surprise yourself with the shit coming out of your mouth? You know what I mean? Like the thing is, the more you do it, it kind of becomes sort of, it's almost like learning Tourette's.
Yeah.
And in a sense, where I find myself, I just can't not say a thing now. In a situation that I'm like, like as it's coming out of my mouth, it's like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's important in everyday life, not just in comedy. Like, so many boring people. Why would it doesn't even burn calories to be interesting.
Yeah.
It doesn't even burn calories to do it. You don't have to break a sweat to be interesting.
Does it feel good almost to be a not boring person? The fact that most people are boring and you get to be the person.
Here's the thing. I imagine boring people are probably more content.
Yes.
Like I would be if I had just stayed boring, I could have just, been all right.
Yeah.
Got a fucking some.
So you were boring.
I was from a boring place.
Okay.
Now, I guess I will credit my parents. They're both like music. They worked like 9 to 5 hump jobs and worked very hard. And my dad worked in shipping logistics, and he was there. But they were both musicians.
Yeah.
And good ones. My dad filled in with James Brown and Aretha Franklin once or twice. Like, yeah, on local shit. Just like total like sight read, fill in, just sort of gigging type shit. He was in like the Chicago Music Union and all that. But then I came along. He's like, I should probably work in shipping logistics. But he's friends with section leader for the bass trombones from the Chicago Symphony, Charles Vernon. And anyway, so at least I was around. My parents were interesting, as boring as they tried to be as I was growing up, but just their story was interesting. My dad's from Texas and grew up. His mom, my granny, tiny little 4'10" white woman from Texas, would celebrate Juneteenth. Like they left Texas in like the 60s because of all the racism and shit. And they moved up to Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas, so the liberal college town. But this was after my dad had already gone to school, been going to school there. But anyway, so I was made aware of. I was listening to jazz and classical, so there was at least some kind of like stick prodding my brain growing up to at least make me curious.
Right. And you what you do is, I guess, to juxtapose myself to you, is I'm a very self-serious person, and I'm working on letting that go more. Like your philosophy, some of it, it's.
Oh, part of it is the fucking like just some psycho who's trying to be the Joker. So like, there's that too.
It's
don't take all of it. It hasn't served me that well.
I will take the pieces that work for me.
Just like I did with Buddhism.
Yes, it's like hometown buffet. I'm just gonna take the French fries and the ice cream. Or
yeah, that makes sense.
The part that I go back and forth on is the nothing matters part.
Nothing really matters. Things matter. I'm not gonna act like they don't. I'm not Dr. Manhattan or some shit.
Of course.
But at a certain point, okay, it matters. Now what?
Yeah.
I'll go 1 degree this way.
I guess what I want to, and with all of these, I've been trying to take the best parts of each person that I've been talking to. And I think that's something.
You've been harvesting character traits.
Yeah, I'm just taking people's personality. I'm like Mystique.
You're like TikTok. You're giving us a place to express ourselves, but at the cost of our facial recognition. But for our philosophies,
it's. Dude, it has been fascinating talking because everyone here is so unique. That's another reason why I love Chicago.
That is true. We have a wide breadth of people.
I haven't met one person similar to another person yet, at least in the comedy.
Start booking people on this and go to Kohl's.
Gotcha.
They'll be dime a dozen by the time you're finished.
And that's why you get in trouble.
Yep. You heard it here first. Nothing funny happens at Kohl's.
So then how do you perceive my strategy in this comedy thing? Because it is a little more social hierarchy for me, I think.
Right. Well, honestly, I'm not as familiar with your sort of like approach. Well, no, your approach to the game, as it were. Not like as far as like on stage and the way you deliver your jokes and stuff. I'm getting a feel for how you do that. But honestly, there's people I've known for years. I don't really know their offstage strategy because I could not be more bored by something than how to fucking get in the ear of a booker, or how to get in a blood, how to make friends here, blah, influence people, blah. I could not be more bored. Imagine, like, if I wanted to do that, I would do it in a fucking field that actually makes you money. Like, I'd be in logistics or fucking tech or something if I needed to rub elbows with the right people. I'm here to rub elbows with the wrong people. Okay, the wrong people are the ones who should be doing comedy. Those are funny people. People like some asshole, like whoever wrote Dilbert. That guy's not funny. You understand? Because he spent too much of his time in a goddamn office. You don't get funny under fluorescent lights. That's all I'm saying. Or you don't get interesting. You might be able to, you can make jokes about, you can make people laugh at the fucking water cooler if you want, but if you're next to a water cooler, you all lost already.
Who is this punk rock group of people? I know you, Kiefer, in it. Is there anybody else?
I mean, it's not that we're even in a group, but like, I know what you're saying. Like people who have, we probably don't know that much about it. It's kind of like herding cats when it comes to... I guess I don't form up real. Darius Kennedy, definitely. He doesn't get nearly the flowers he deserves. He's been at it forever.
How long is forever?
Like 16, 17 years. No, he doesn't get out in the scene much in the last few years because I'm coming to the same conclusion. He's like, he hasn't said as much.
Yeah.
But like him and like a lot of other like sort of OG type of guys that like, sort of stayed on the fringe. I mean, he gets booked and he crushes when he turns it on. It's nobody can touch him. But at one point, it's like, you know what? Okay, there's a new crop of people who are now running shit. Do I really need to make friends with another group of 24-year-olds who just came from fucking, I don't know, Madison or some college town somewhere? Mm-hmm. Like, do I really? I'm 35. This is I'm 39 now. Am I going to go make friends with everybody who runs a show to try to get on? Like, I'm just palling around with my fucking friends who could be my kids. Like, we're talking 15 years removed. I'm not supposed to be social with these people. I'm supposed to be like, be able to talk to them. They're like, yeah, I'm funny. Fucking book me. Or don't, whatever. And so at a certain point, the scene, you kind of, he has a kid now and shit.
Speaking of the scene, what do you think... let me reword this in my head movies. Was quarantine, what were the positives and negatives in terms of how it's affected the scene now from quarantine?
Affected me or affected the scene?
Both.
Okay, me, it was an unbridled positive. Nothing made my life better than like 1 million Americans dying of a virus, it turns out. Do you understand the level of just how churlish I am?
Churlish?
Churlish. Yeah, when you're very disagreeable, you start learning all the synonyms for it.
Okay.
But yeah, literally, it turns out, I came out of quarantine way funnier. Because I could get into these. I'm kind of getting into one now. I kind of have to lighten up. Kind of getting into ruts. Just kind of creatively, like repeating bad habits on stage, stuff like that. And so that gave me, like, I was straight up 6, 7, 8 months not doing no, there was like 4 months where I straight up didn't do anything. And then when they started doing the mics in the park, I started doing those. And then I got, actually, if I'm being honest, before I got vaxxed, I would drive up to like Wisconsin or Indiana to do an odd mic or show where they didn't care as much. Yeah. And I turned out fine, so suck a dick. And but yeah, I was basically able to. Plus, I had just started dating Ariel, who was the guest on the previous episode, a very good episode. Check her out. But so yeah, it was an unbridled success. As far as the scene, it was a mixed bag.
Okay.
Because the thing is, I can't. Because now I will lament the presence of more seasoned, I guess, comics.
You're actually being careful with your words right now.
A little bit, because I'm going to be talking about people who I actually kind of worry, kind of care if I offend them.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
We haven't been talking about too many of those up to this point.
Okay.
But no, because before the pandemic, my big beef with this is like, the same fucking handful of people are running everything. They give the same handful of people all the spots and blah blah blah, demographics, and I'm just in a stopped. I'm a straight white guy doing comedy with a beard. That pipeline is backed up and not moving. I need some people to get canceled and move to the coasts before I'm going to get on at the clubs. But also, I should probably become more agreeable on stage. But so anyway, that was my problem with it before. Mm-hmm. After, all these young kids who had just started on like Zoom and were starting to feel themselves off of Zoom shows, which is sub-improv. Like, that's how bad it is. Mm-hmm. I hate improv shows, but I really hate Zoom shows. I would rather watch fucking which undergrad's line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Level 1, Second City. Not enough of it caught on fire. Fucking Second City. I would rather watch that than a Zoom show.
Okay.
I will eat a pistol in real life. That'll be my set on my next Zoom show. It's just me saying hi, everybody, sticking a revolver in my mouth, and seeing how many people are paying attention. Even all their screens go to mute. But so anyway, they came out of the woodwork as things opened back up. And a lot of them sort of jumped at it quicker than some of the older cats who were like, I'm still not real comfortable. So they swept in. There's a certain guy who was doing it before the thing, but he's still dog shit. And I've had a very public spat with him. But hey, I'm not going to bring up his name. I'm trying to be positive.
I was my butthole was puckered for this one. Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, some people that came out in a vacuum.
Yeah.
And started book, and all of a sudden they were a hot name hot name for a minute, because they were the only ones running anything, and so they start getting it in their heads. They're like, oh yeah, I'm fucking king of the scene type of shit, and then now that everything's kind of coming back, they're kind of boxing out, just to maintain their position, and it's keeping out some, I'll say it, higher quality. Producers, especially.
When you say
comics,
when you say boxing out, you mean like they're not allowing people to take more.
They're not giving up their spot to people who are better.
Okay.
And not that you would really expect them to.
Right.
But it does create an unfortunate. It's not like there aren't quality shows and lineups and stuff. There are, but not as many as there could be. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's always been the case, but it seems, and again, I'm a jaded old prick who, like, I was shaking my cane at Young Comics 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So take it from me with however much you want to agree with me or not. I don't give a shit. But it could be better, and it should be better, and it has been better. I've likened this scene because a lot of some people still like to be like, oh, well, I'm a Chicago comic. Like, being a Chicago comic, when you go elsewhere, like. Still does, but at least, but used to people are like, oh shit, he's a Chicago guy. Yeah, put him up. I got put up in Ireland,
Jesus,
while drunk. Okay, while drunk in Dublin, off of saying I'm a comic who's been doing it however many years in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Like out there, he's like, oh yeah, we'll put you up right after the intermission. I do terrible Irish accent.
I was impressed by it. Yo, I got this in Ireland.
Oh, wow, that's. Hang on a minute. Just for the listener, he just pulled up his hoodie, and on his rib cage is what appeared like which county in Ireland did you go to prison? He got a shamrock, not even a 4-leaf clover, a regular ass shamrock. I'm surprised the tattoo artist could be that legible while rolling his eyes.
The tattoo artist was a Brazilian dude who didn't speak English in Ireland. Hey man, it's dust in the wind.
Hey, you know what? Look, I'm a white guy with a yin yang tattoo, so I can't talk much shit.
Where is it?
It's on my fucking shoulder.
Oh, that's why I never see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't do muscle shirts.
Gotcha. I can't wait to see it.
I have a bit about it, but yeah, it's got a fucking bass clef and a treble clef in it. It's fucking, it's insufferable. It's the god. I'm not gonna do my bit about it here right now, but it's as douchey as you like.
Before you leave, I need to see it.
Yeah, I'll show you.
All right, so where do you see yourself in the scene in 5 years?
If I see myself in this scene in 5 years, it'll be, I don't know, a couple comics networking at my funeral. Trying to get on CYSK or some shit.
Okay.
I miss Bob. So how about getting on that show you never booked him for?
I haven't heard of this. What is CYSK?
Comedians you should know.
That's
Best
what it
fucking, yeah, that is one show that has maintained a level of quality for years and years. They've been 11, 12 years. Independent showcase. It's, as far as I'm concerned, the gold standard for shows in Chicago. And I'll take it over, clubs, whatever. They get lineups and they get good lineups.
What is their strat? Like
keep an ear to the ground, and they over the years they built up enough clout. Basically, they are able to pack it out every week. They're down to Streeterville at Timothy O'Toole's on Wednesdays, and now they got 2 shows every Wednesday. And their producer cast, whatever, always good comics, and have very good taste in who they book. Every show's going to have missteps, and that's all subjective. But by and large, they are the shit. And so yeah, definitely. And before the pandemic, it was comics would start be like, okay, well, when are you gonna move to the coast? It's like, okay, once I get CYSK, they're like a checklist item for people who still look at it like that. I used to, and then I'm like, I'm never gonna get those checks. How about I just do my own thing and I'll find my way.
Yeah.
But not that I wouldn't like to do all the venues, but it is what it is. But yeah, CYSK definitely. They've started back up. Definitely would suggest if you have a free Wednesday, go check it out.
Go check that out. I have an assumption.
Lay it on me.
Okay. I assume that your relationship with Ariel balances you both out. It seems like you bring out whatever she might be holding in. It seems like she.
I make it. My presence gives anybody really, but her specifically, sort of permission to blow off steam, because you can blow up a little bit because you're always next to a bigger explosion. You know what? Like next to me, kind of like how next to her I seem very tall. Next to me she seems pretty reserved, when she's letting it loose. But and then she evens me out something fierce. She it's honestly, she just pokes holes in my ego enough. When I start ballooning up, she's like, pop. Yeah, just a little jab in the ribs, like you ain't all that. That kind of shit. She keeps me grounded when I can get a little manic.
I can see that. It's very sweet. The dynamic that I see.
Yeah, it's 2 black holes orbiting.
The straight white guy thing you were talking about earlier, that pipeline being
delayed at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, it was always crowded, and it moved quicker than it deserved to.
What is it about being the straight white dude where this mentality seems to be not laser focused, but it is a pipe? It feels like
because we've been getting on for so long that the more of a tradition there is of you succeeding, the more focused. Well, but the more focused it's like, oh, and this is how you do it, and this is what you talk about, that kind of thing. And so we're kind of lemmings following each other off the cliff in a way, just because it's like, if you're a trans person or a person of color, women, etc., there's almost more possibility just because the straight line hasn't been shown to be a sure thing.
Right.
Whereas with white guys, and not just in comedy, in any manner of doing things, there are so many examples of white guys all doing the same shit, getting the same place that you want to get. And so it becomes, there's more of an inclination to just take the straight line. And so now the problem, and what's sort of the effect of essentially a bunch of white male comics, sort of bashing themselves into that ceiling that has just been put in, is they'll bash against that, and where they used to be like, oh yeah, just get on the Tonight Show. It's like, start an alt-right blog and like become that. Who's that dipshit? You know the one I'm talking about.
Is he a Jewish one?
No. He's a white guy. Total fucking InfoWarsy alt-right.
So many of those. He got upset about the M&M, the green M&M.
Probably, yeah. But those the edgelords and the fascist, but with a wink type of shit.
Yeah, that's
thing is, you can satirize that.
Tucker Carlson.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah.
He's not a comic. It'd be better if he was. Then people wouldn't take him seriously.
That's something.
That bow tie is very Catskills.
It's something that this might be an insulting comparison, but I'm about to compare you to Tucker Carlson.
I mean,
it's different though. Like,
okay.
I'm trying to.
I'm only ironically wrong-headed.
Yeah. There's a. I think what you just said was right. That if Tucker Carlson would just back off of the news,
if people didn't take him seriously, kind of like Donald Trump, funniest president we've ever had.
Yeah.
We all have agreed. I don't care.
He's pretty hilarious.
That dude was, dude. The context make it so much funnier until it's like, oh shit, and then he like. Okay, that's funny on Twitter, but now what's he doing?
Right.
Because that's him, and now he's going to do some serious guy shit.
Yeah.
But he's still a hilarious. Funny leaders are not good.
Yes.
Don't have a funny leader.
So your philosophy of Dust in the Wind works in the context of comedy and understanding that you should not be taking the information too seriously.
Absolutely not.
And then if you translate that and you put in the context of being genuine, then you feel like, okay, now you're gassing up people that don't need to be.
Boring people need to be taken seriously. Interesting people should not be taken seriously.
I really like that.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what
boring
you're saying.
People keep the fucking boat afloat.
Yeah.
I like boring people. I make fun of them mercilessly, but I like them. I appreciate them. Mm-hmm. I appreciate boring people. People need to be boring for the world to go around.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we can dance on the boat.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't want the comedian driving the boat. Mm-hmm. The cruise ship comedian driving the boat. Everybody's gonna die.
Yeah. I get you. 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's gonna go into the iceberg as ironic, and
it's like, get it, guys. Blah, blah, blah,
remember the Titanic?
This is gonna be so funny, like 100 years, dude. You don't even know, dude. They're playing. The string quartet is playing, dude. Get it?
So
I think the guy who crashed the Titanic was the original Tim and Eric.
I'm very curious. Do you remember the first time you met and/or saw me when I came out here?
I think it was the same place Ariel did at Living Room Sessions.
Oh, what was? Because she told me her perception of it. What was your perception?
I mean, again, I'm more. This is what year and some change ago, a year ago. No, 6 months ago.
I've only been here for 6
8
months. It's so weird.
Whatever. Life's. You don't know how long things are when you drink like I do. But no, I was like, okay, I don't really make an effort to remember anyone specifically until I've seen him 3-4 times. Like, that's just me being a jaded old prick. But I was like, okay, checks the boxes, chill, SoCal, puka shell vibes. Okay. I see you. Probably you ever do any shows with wait, did you ever do, what was it, a Stoner Mike or?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I've never done his shows.
Oh, yeah, or who else was, fucking Eric Allegria, did you ever do any shows? I don't think he even does shows anymore. That guy's a hack anyway. But, or Mike Muratori, that guy was funny.
Yeah.
But he used to run around the IE and shit. But, yeah. So, yeah, my first, I'm like, okay, puka shell vibes, the only black guy that likes Sublime, that kind of thing. Yeah. Sure, that works. But I'm like, yeah, I'll pay attention next time. Yeah. You haven't been I haven't swiped left on you yet.
Gotcha.
That kind of thing.
I don't seem like a swoop.
No.
Well,
yeah. Well, and the thing is, that's less of a thing now.
Yeah.
Just because things kind of corrected themselves.
Yeah.
People are doing more reserves. All the things I suggested in that article. That I got raked over the coals for, to some extent, have been put in place. Nobody will fucking cop to it. Nobody will say that kind of like old fucking typo negative guy.
Yeah.
Wario Worm. The guy I beefed with before.
Yeah.
Just the like, but having like people will cop to like, but when I had a problem with him, a bunch of other people. He was the darling of the scene when that happened, but a bunch of people. This is like, okay, this is my existence in the scene.
Okay.
And not just about that, but about any number of things. A lot over the years is I will get raked over the coals because I put shit out in public. I don't hide much.
I get that vibe.
Yeah. And then, so I'm going to get shit. If enough people are listening to this, I'm getting raked over the coals for half the shit I say here. But in private, and I'll post it up, it'll get like 3 likes on Facebook or something. I'll get dozens of people. I'm talking dozens. I was like, hey man, yeah, that's some real shit. Like, I can't like it or nothing. I can't be out here in the streets fucking being seen agreeing with that, but
they don't want the stink on them.
Well, that's the thing. It's disappointing. I mean, I don't expect people to fucking stick their neck out just to agree with me on something. That's stupid. But it is a little disappointing that I'm the only one trying to do that. Yeah. Well, and maybe not the only one. There's other people that do shit like that, but I seem to be the one with the reputation for it. And I don't know. If you could say, it's a dumb thing to say, but I'm about to say, it's just like, look, I'm not fake. If there's anything, and like, you can say anything else you want about me. Somebody thinks I'm fucking problematic or hateful or misogynist or racist or anything because of any number of jokes, and not just jokes on stage. Like, I sort of live in it. It's kind of how I relate to the world now. And you can call me all that. I wouldn't agree. It bothers me, but as long as nobody really calls me fake. Of all my detractors, I've never been called fake to my knowledge. That would be the
biggest insult.
And if ever somebody has said that, somebody else is like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're like, yeah, all right. I just want to say something mean about him.
Yeah.
But so of all things, I'm at least not fake.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up soon.
Yeah.
You make so much more sense to me now.
Yeah.
People's perception of you, way people treat you, the way your humor, it all makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah. I'm not sure I deserve the disrespect I feel in the scene sometimes, but I definitely earned it.
It seems like you revel in it.
Oh yeah. I would love to be disrespected like that and then handed gigs. Like, basically, if I get the same level of like fuck you, but like, paid gigs are happening. That's my career goal. Yeah. So it's be like, fuck that guy. Yeah, I'm seeing him at the 9 o'clock show.
Trying to think if I have any more questions. Do you have any thoughts or questions? Anything you're curious about?
Oh, I'm not curious about much.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
No, I don't know. I observe shit. I like to, rather than ask questions directly a lot of times just of people, I just like, okay, mental notes about people, and then like, later I see them in a situation. I'm like, I wonder what they're going to do in this situation.
Is that what you're doing in this podcast? Are you mentally taking in how I react to what you say?
Yeah. But I take in more about you or any number of, especially comics or whatever, like out in social situations, and sort of catching your tics, your mannerisms, or the sort of the angles you take on any number of.
What is the Bob Keem hot take on Aaron Chase?
I still haven't seen enough. I build it up over time, but
okay. I feel like it's gonna hurt my feelings. Go ahead, let it rip.
No, you're confident. You're confident as long as you're confident, but you're not confident enough to make yourself that visible yet.
What do
you don't. It's not that you're not able to. You're not inclined. You're feeling things out right now.
That's a good.
I've been watching you feeling things out. That's what you're doing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Obviously when you're on stage, you do your thing. But even then, you're feeling it out. you're. It's not like you're like pathologically like nervous, cautious, but you're understandably cautious.
Yeah.
It takes a minute to like. You don't just pop into an entire new city, the third biggest city in the fucking country, and especially in a comedy scene this bloated. Honestly, if you don't think you should be a comic, by all means help the scene and be an audience member. If you have any doubts about this, you're right. Fucking buy a ticket, sit down. You did comedy for a year. Good for you. You can really appreciate what we do now. So yeah, come to open mics and don't sign up. Just watch, enjoy, Make comedy better by being in it, but like, somebody's got to do the support. The world needs uninteresting people.
It's going to be impossible for me to do clips because you just run on sentence everything.
Make it a longer clip. Clips are how Rogan gets canceled, okay?
Oh,
you listen to the whole thing, you don't say shit to me, listener.
if only we were important enough to get canceled.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to looking at your tattoo.
Oh yeah.
I'm
It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
very excited. I think the clip isn't even going to be a picture of you. It's just going to be a picture of your tattoo.
Oh God.
Thank you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
All right, I'll bother you later. Bye.